Hey, what's up, everybody? Yo, it's a beautiful day out here. I'm on the beach out here enjoying it. Real quick, a model had asked me, like, how should models go about asking, if it's a paid gig? And in my opinion, I'm gonna be real with you. Don't ask. Like, don't even ask. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be real with you because the real thing about it is that, like, if it's a paid gig, they're going to tell you up front if it's a paid gig. Like, they're going to say, like, within the first two messages, like, the rates and stuff like that. So as a model, if you're a model and you only do like paid shoots and stuff like that, just kind of like play along and play it out and see, like, if they saying that it's a paid range and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And if they not, then just play along with it. Just say, like, hey, I would love to be there and stuff like that, but, like, I gotta work that day. You gotta say something along those lines, like, I gotta work that day, or you wait like a day, and then you say, like, I had got booked for a gig that day or something like that. Like, but the biggest thing with it is that you never want to ask and say, like, hey, is this a paid gig? Because, like, sometimes it might be a paid gig, and sometimes it might not be a paid gig, but they might be a company where it's like they just trying to fill you out to see if you actually know how to model, and then if you know how to model, they probably want to reach out to you again for future paid gigs. So, like, a lot of times with that, you always want to fill it out. And another thing too, you want to do your research. You know what I mean? Like, do your research on them, see what they about, see what they about. But it's, in my personal opinion, I've gotten paid for a lot of gigs as a model when I was modeling, and I never had to ask, like, say, like, hey, is this a paid gig? Like, I always knew up front whether or not it was a paid gig, and just based on how they was communicating through the conversation, and because a lot of times with that too, like I said, like, even for us, for instance, we pay for gigs. Like, that's another thing with it too. Like, I've been talking about another thing with it too, where it's like a lot of models they be want to know is modeling, like, rigged and stuff like that. And I'm gonna get into that later on, but, like, right here for right now, you feel me? Like, when it comes to us as our company, we pay models. Like, it's so crazy because, like, I'm pretty sure even I definitely paid more for models than I even made back as when I was modeling. You know what I mean? So definitely know that it's definitely a lot of pay opportunities out there. You just gotta know how to go about properly, communicating and locking those deals in. But, like, a lot of times, even with us, with a lot of models, like fresh faces, we normally test them out with, like, a TFP shoot to see how they work and stuff like that. And then, like, if they really good, we'll lock them in for paid shoots and stuff like that. So you never want to ask, like, is it a paid gig? And when we do offer paid gigs up front, we always say initially, like, the pay rate. And back when I was modeling, it was the same deal. Like, whenever it was a paid thing, they would always say up front, like, whether it's paid or not. Like, so you don't gotta ask. And it's like, if they not saying that it's paid, again, if they not saying nothing about it's paid, and if you one of those models where it's like you only do paid gigs, or if it look like it's not going to add real value to your portfolio and what you're doing as a model, then just play along with it, and you let them know, like, hey, man, I checked my schedule and I gotta work that day, or hey, I checked my schedule and I actually got booked with another client that day, or something like that. You never want to just say, and that's another thing with it too, like, if they do say, oh, it's not paid, you never want to come across as saying, like, oh, I only do paid gigs, or like, oh, I don't want to work with you, or something like that, because you don't know who they potentially know, who they potentially could have put you on to. Not only that, you don't know if they had future paid gigs down the line, if they would just work with somebody. You don't know what the situation was behind the scenes with that particular gig. So you always want to come across as professionally and as nice as possible. You always want to just stay as friendly and as nice as possible. Like, even if you don't want to work with these people, because you don't know who they could potentially know, you know what I mean, and what doors they might have coming up down the line that they didn't even talk about yet. And that, because they be having to us sometimes. We be like, models, they sometimes don't want to work with us, and they'll see a project down the line, do you want to work with us again? And we like one of those companies, we're not mad at it. We always give opportunities to models all the time, So, but it's companies that's like, oh, you dubbed us back then and we don't want to work with you now, you know what I mean? So just always be friendly with people. And like I said, the biggest thing when it comes to asking for, if it's a paid gig, don't even do it, bro. Like, if it's a paid gig, they're gonna let you know if it's a paid gig. And if they don't let you know, and if it's not gonna elevate your career, then just play along and don't even do it. All right.